Before we begin, I'd like everybody to stand up and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to begin. I'll go ahead and introduce myself as the moderator tonight. My name is Andrew Hanson. Some know me as Andy, some know me as Drew. I left Superior. I was born and raised third generation. Fourth generation, I was informed, but third that was born in Minnow County. Left Superior around when I was 12 years old so my parents could pursue a career in education. We moved around a little bit and ended up in Big Fork. I pursued a career in education and fly fishing. Education won out eventually. I taught over in Washington. I've taught back in Montana, mostly up on the Salish Kootenai Reservation. But for the last 12 years, I've been working at Salish Kootenai College as the Director of Academic Success. Recently, my wife moved down, took a second grade position at Superior Schools, and then now is teaching kindergarten. So she moved down a year before me, and I finished up at the college. And I took a job with a company called Simpson Strong Tie, based out of California. They're a global building products company, and I do education things for them on products for skyscrapers, believe it or not, in Superior, Montana. So that's kind of a fun thing. But it does show that there are people working remote that are in Minnow County for outside organizations. I've been able to move back to Minnow County. It's been a huge blessing for me. My boys are thriving. My family is thriving. We're building a new house in Superior, and it's been wonderful to be a part of this process. Kind of flattering to be asked, but also it's one of those things where I want to participate. I want to be a part of the community. I've tried to restart the Superior Ski Club, and that's kind of evolved into the Minnow County Rec Club, which we're trying to do some really good things for all of Minnow County right now, based on recreation. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to go through the different candidates for all the different elections happening. The first one will be Minnow County Sheriff, and tonight we have Ryan Funke, Wayne Cashman, and Gretchen Webb. Following that, we have Minnow County Treasurer and County Superintendent. We have Mary Mueller and Jill Betts. All right, and for House District 14, we have Denley Loge, and we have Randy Mitchell. Randy asked me to say a statement, so Randy is not up here tonight. He is running as a Republican, and he disagrees with the format of this. He will be available for the question and answer following the questions. We also have some unopposed. I don't know if any are in attendance tonight. I think I've seen a couple, all right. Unopposed or appointed: Roman Zwally, County Commissioner; Kellyanne McLeese, Clerk and Recorder; Kim Taryn, Justice of the Peace. Is Kim not here either? Okay. And Deborah Jackson, County Attorney. Deborah, thank you. Candidates, like last night, thank you again for your willingness to participate. The goal is to help voters in Minnow County make informed decisions when they go to cast their ballots, and this is going to help get them in that right direction. Tonight's forum, it's a little bit different than last night just because we're sitting down. You're welcome to stand up if you'd like, but if you can stay where you're at, it'll speed the process up a little bit. It won't go quite so long for the first round of questions. Each question will get 4 minutes to respond to. I'll begin by reading your bios and asking the first question. When we're finished, there are some note cards out there if you want to write questions down. When we're finished with our questions, we'll collect note cards and take about a 15-minute intermission. We'll read through the questions. Questions will be selected based on if everybody can answer them. We're not singling any one person out for any one thing, but if all candidates can answer the questions, and if they're not of a personal attack nature. So, all right, that's all the hard stuff. Now it gets easy for me. So, we're going to start with Mineral County Sheriff and Ryan Funke. I'll go ahead and read Ryan's bio and ask you the follow-up question. Ryan Funke is 43 years old and was born and raised in Polson, Montana. He's been a Montana resident his entire life. He graduated from Polson High School in 1997. He worked as a sales associate and department manager for Walmart for 5 years before deciding to further his passion for golf. He attended the Professional Golfers Career College in Temecula, California, continuing to work at Walmart full-time while attending college. He graduated in 2003 with an associate's degree in golf course management. Ryan started his law enforcement career in 2008 as a deputy for Lake County Sheriff's Office. He graduated from Montana Law Enforcement Academy in 2009. He continued to receive law enforcement training throughout his tenure with the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Ryan learned the true importance of teamwork. As a result, earned several life-saving and community awards. He worked for Lake County Sheriff's Office until 2017. Ryan and his family have been coming to Mineral County for over 25 years to recreate. When he and his wife decided to start their own family, they wanted to be a small community. Naturally, they looked to Mineral County. Ryan was hired by Mineral County Sheriff's Office in February of 2018. After buying a piece of land and several months of building, they finally had their forever home on the St. Regis River. He was promoted to sergeant of the Mineral County Sheriff's Office approximately a year ago. Ryan is also deputy coroner, field training officer, and search and rescue liaison. He continues to be a patrol deputy as well. Community involvement has always been important to Ryan, so in his spare time he assists with coaching the St. Regis girls basketball team and the St. Regis Tigers golf team. He loves cheering at the local high school games and continues his golf passion by participating in the men's league. Ryan, could you please take up to 4 minutes and share any additional professional information? Yeah, you can come up here if you'd like.
Everybody hear me? Yeah. All right. I get to go first again tonight. First isn't always bad. So I want to appreciate everybody, say thank you for coming. Happy Cinco de Mayo. My family wasn't able to be here tonight, so they also say thank you. I'm going to do little things different than I did last night. We spoke last night in Superior, and I don't want to talk about the same thing over and over and over and over. So my professional background, I'm going to start, of course, my father. My father was a city councilman for 25 years in the city of Polson. I grew up with him. I watched his leadership skills. I watched how people flocked to him, how people came to him for questions, for answers, and the knowledge that he had. Previous to that, my grandfather was a city councilman for 25 years also in Polson, and also the mayor of Polson. So I'm going to go back and say, my professional background's in my past. I was born with it. I do have, at the end of this year, 14 years of law enforcement. In that 14 years, I've worked patrol. I've been a sergeant here. Like you said, I'm a coroner. I'm the field training officer. I do all the scheduling. I'm a search and rescue liaison. The biggest thing about my professional background is when I've hired people in the past, when I hire people in the future, I'm going to hire people that are going to help me be successful. Tom Brady didn't win the Super Bowl by himself, guys. He built a team around him. He built a team, he built a dynasty, and he's won multiple Super Bowls. I mean, you can't beat that. I'm a Joe Montana guy. But being a leader in your leadership role is to build a team around you to be successful, not to have to micromanage your people. Let them go out and do their job and do their job proficiently so you have time to go do other stuff. And that's what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm looking at multiple undersheriffs that have, run $14 million budgets. I mean, I got budgeted to death last night, so I'm going to bring up more stuff, of course. So with that in mind, I'll just run through a few other things. I've been a field training officer since 2011 in Lake County. So I was hired for approximately 2 years. I was promoted to go to field training because they felt that I needed to be training the up-and-coming deputies. So I began to train them. I trained them to be community-oriented police, right? So I've been out in the community. I've seen a lot of your guys' faces, been to a lot of games. Like they said, I get, involved in the community. So that kind of scared me. All right. So community-based policing, that's my leadership style, and that's what I want my deputies to be. I have my basic certificate, my intermediate certificate, and I'm applying for my advanced certificate with the Montana Law Enforcement Academy. I've gone through DRE training in Arizona. I was promoted by the Highway Patrol to go to that training. That's drug recognition expert. It's hundreds of hours, and I've completed that class down in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Next for the position of Mineral County Sheriff, we have Wayne Cashman. I'll read Wayne's bio. The Cashman family relocated to Montana in 1990 after purchasing the 7-Up Ranch Supper Club in Lincoln, Montana. This was a family adventure. Wayne joined the business after the family added a motel to the family's enterprise. Wayne took a job at the Montana State Prison to relieve his family's financial burden from the business after a Highway 200 construction project severely curtailed the business back-to-back summers' income. Wayne transitioned from corrections to sworn law enforcement officer as a patrol deputy with the Pinal County Sheriff's Office in 2000. Wayne's career progression continued when he was promoted to patrol sergeant in 2007. Shortly after his promotion, Wayne was appointed to be the Carlotta, or Central Arizona Regional Law and Officer Training Academy, Sergeant Class number 201, until the class completed the academy and he successfully graduated. Wayne was chosen by Sheriff Paul Babot to run the Sheriff's Office Professional Standards Unit, which consisted of 3 investigators, 2 voice stress analyzers, 1 polygrapher. Wayne's assignment in internal affairs continued until 2011 when he was promoted to Region Lieutenant. He spent the next 9 years rotating command in all 4 patrol regions and as the Patrol Support Commander, where he maintained responsibility over the following units: K-9, Traffic, Motors, Civil, Community Service, Reserve, Explorer, and Fleet Procurement Unit managing a budget of $1.5 million. Wayne retired from the Pinal County Sheriff's Office shortly after the loss of his wife of 25 years to cancer. Wayne moved back home to Montana in July of 2020 to be closer to his daughter, granddaughter, and siblings who live in Missoula, Montana. Upon Wayne's return to Montana, he applied for the sheriff-appointed position in August of 2020, but was not selected. Wayne has been the undersheriff since 2020 and has been overseeing the day-to-day operations of the patrol and dispatch. He played an integral role in getting the Mineral County Detention Center open for business and handling the day-to-day detention operations since February of 2021. Wayne, could you please take up to 4 minutes to share any additional information on your professional background?
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for coming. This has been an interesting event so far. It's my first time running for office, and I'm as surprised as anyone to be up here running. My intention was not to run for sheriff. When I took the undersheriff position, when it was offered by Sheriff Toth, I promised him I would not run against him in this election, and I did it for several reasons. The main one being that there had to be a trust between the sheriff and the undersheriff to move this agency forward. To get the jail open and running, you have to trust one another and make sure that there's not any plotting and planning on who's going to take credit for this or that or anything else. So we started together, and unfortunately he withdrew at the very last minute, so here I am. And I looked at where I was at and where I was going, and I've invested so much into getting the jail up and running, got to know people in the community, and I really am attached. So I made the decision last minute to enter this race. And I did so because I feel that I have been afforded a lot of opportunity, a lot of training, specialized training for, you'll hear Gretchen too. I mean, we've gone through, I graduated from the School of Police and Command from Northwest University. It's a 3-month course where you're full-time 3 months. The Arizona Leadership Academy, again, a 3-month course. So I was kind of being groomed to move and take over, progress up into the upper ranks of the Pinal County Sheriff's Office when I left. And when I moved back, I was done. I was done with law enforcement. I had done my thing. I wasn't going to get involved. And then I saw that the Sheriff's Office was needing some help, and I put in, and then they brought me in as the undersheriff, and we've fixed a lot of things that were broken in the Mineral County Sheriff's Office. The jail, first and foremost. I mean, we just did our monthly billing for the jail this month, and we're looking at getting $25,000 this month from the feds for housing 10 of their inmates. So we've turned around a liability that the county was paying out almost $200,000 a year to house our bad guys all over the state, to getting warrants and the people in our community going off the street, and still housing federal inmates to bring in revenue to update equipment, provide training to our deputies that are out there right now. Thank you. And we're going to continue. I'd like to continue to do that. I want to continue this journey that we've started, and that's why I'm standing here today. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now we have Gretchen Webb, and I'll go ahead and read her bio. Gretchen Webb moved to Superior in 2015 after 32 years in law enforcement, retired as a captain from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office in Florida. She was born in Michigan in 1970 and moved to Florida with her family. During high school, Gretchen became an accomplished tennis player and started her first law enforcement job as a part-time dispatcher. She went on to Indian River Community College on a tennis scholarship and continued to work part-time at the Stewart Police Department. Receiving her AA, Gretchen went on to Florida State University and continued her education. While tennis went by the wayside, rugby took its place. Gretchen never wavered in her love of law enforcement. She received her bachelor's degree in criminology, specializing in criminal law. Gretchen moved to Palm Beach County, Florida, where she became a certified law enforcement officer. She held various assignments in the areas of organized crime, racketeering, narcotics investigation, tactical operation, field training, internal affairs, and more. As she was gaining experience and moving up in the ranks, then Sergeant Webb rewrote the field training program. This program became the nationally recognized model for other field training programs to follow. Never wanting to stop growing in knowledge, Gretchen took additional advanced classes and became an instructor at the police academy in multiple disciplines, including general law and high liability. For additional management training, Gretchen was sent to the University of Louisville Southern Police Institute. It was an administrative officer's course. From her first promotion to sergeant, then lieutenant, and finally captain, Gretchen has been responsible for writing and managing budgets for each command assignment, supervise sworn and civilian personnel, manage and engage in tactical situations, and conduct major investigations. Upon her retirement, she continued to work as an instructor at the police academy for an additional 2 years. Now, Gretchen is bringing her experience, knowledge, and skills to Mineral County. Please welcome Gretchen. Gretchen, would you take up to 4 minutes to share any additional information?
Well, I'm glad to see everyone's here tonight. A lot of faces I haven't seen in a while, and I'm happy to see them. I did spend 32 years in law enforcement, and I never thought I'd be a political candidate. That's bottom line. I don't know how many of you know how I was doing this campaign where I had to go for signatures in order to be placed on the ballot. I'm happy to say the elections office has permitted me to be on the ballot come November. I'm officially a candidate through the elections office, which is fantastic. You will not see me on the June primaries, but you'll see me against either Ryan Funke or Wayne Cashman in the general election. So that aside, I'm gonna go back into my little thing. I was a road patrol deputy and a field training officer, and I worked organized crime, racketeering, did multiple large investigations. When I got promoted to sergeant, they put me in charge of the field training program. And where that's really important is that field training program was suffering, and it's high liability because you're training someone else, and I'm sure Ryan can tell you how much liability goes along with that. Our program was horrible. I saw the deficiencies in it, and at that time the agencies were being sued for deliberate indifference. So I took it upon myself to rewrite the field training program, and I gave it to my bosses. They weren't happy about it, I'll admit that, because I was having them do something they didn't want to do. Rewriting that field training program became nationally recognized. It became the model for all other field training programs today. No, I have not seen the one here in Mineral County, but if it's close, it's a similar model to the one I rewrote. And I am planning on rewriting this one, along with teaching people how to investigate, to recognize crimes, to ask the right questions. That's not happening right now. You have to know how to be curious. And that's really what an investigation is curiosity. You have to be able to put it down to paper. Where we're lacking is putting it down to paper almost immediately. We need to be able to specify what's happened, why it's happened, and who done it. And we're not good at it. That being said, law enforcement's really not good at the who done it part. We try, but we need your help. We will always need the community's help. I've done community. 1 minute? Should I dance now? No. All right. I've worked for the special response team. I've been a lead negotiator during hostage situations. I've won a few and lost a few during the negotiation period. Lost too many, actually, but I've done very well at being a negotiator. Dignitary protection. I did dignitary protection for Bush 1 and 2, Trump and Reagan. It's very easy to do that stuff if you are trained properly. I have the training background. I'm planning on bringing it to our people at Mineral County Sheriff's Office. And I'm gonna send all my certificates off to Post Helena and get them recognized here in Montana. Thank you.
We'll stay with you for the first question, okay?
I'm going where, huh? What, huh?
We're going to go ahead and snake back and forth to expedite going through the questions. So we'll stay with Gretchen for the first. What are the primary reasons you are running for this position?
4 minutes. All right, when I moved to Mineral County in 2015, I've watched the county struggle through many sheriffs, and I believe I've seen 4 sheriffs. That's 4 too many since that time. I've seen the jail go up and down. I've seen officers not quite do the investigations properly. All this stuff, it's come down to a very, I'm looking for the right word here, but it's a situation that can be improved upon. I have the ability, I've got the talent, and thank you, Palm Beach County, for giving me this talent to be able to bring it here to Mineral County. It will reduce the impact on Mineral County and their budget. I also feel like with my leadership ability, I'll be able to help direct these new deputies in a positive direction. I do not want to see anything negative with the deputies, the department, and I believe by setting the example and showing them what you can become and helping them learn how good they can become, this agency will improve. I'm going to make a realistic budget. Our budget here, every budget, every sheriff's office is going to, complain poor mouth. That's just reality. So I will present the budget in a realistic fashion to our commissioners. And then if I don't like what they say, I'll go to the people and ask them to scream and shout at the commissioners and give me more money. The other thing I'm planning on doing is going to visit people up in Helena, people as in the representatives, to help fund us. We need funding, and that's the only place our money can come from. Now, if I'm able to get money not just for the sheriff's office, for Mineral County, I will be happy to do that. That will be my aim, so that we are able to improve all our programs here, our community policing, our field training program, our investigations, to be able to send our deputies off for training. We also need to retrain or retain our deputies. We're losing them too fast. Cost $100,000 a year to keep it, or from beginning to the end of the first year, to keep a deputy in a position. Now that includes the car, the equipment, the clothing, everything that goes with that deputy from head to toe. And I don't know about you guys, but I hate wasting money and have them leave 2 years later, because now we're investing another $100,000.
1 minute.
All right. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving you my experience. I'm giving Mineral County my experience, and it's going to be more cost effective than trial and error, and that's what we've been doing up until this point. Thank you.
Okay, Wayne, we're to you. What are the primary reasons you're running for this position?
Hate to continue. So, when I got here, and we were appointed and took over for undersheriff, we had some changes to do. We were in old high patrol cars that ranged from 107,000 to 232 miles. They were breaking down. The jail was closed. We're transporting inmates all over the state in those cars. So we sat down and we prioritized what we felt we needed to do to get this thing starting down the right road. And opening the jail was, like I said before, the very first, and then it was getting a new fleet of cars. And how do you do that? We went to the supervisors. They very generously gave us some money, and the plan was, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars a year to get a new car. Well, the problem with that was we needed 7 new cars or 8 new cars. So we researched, we dug, and we found a company that would finance all 6 of our cars for one yearly payment of just about what they asked us or told us they would give us. So we were able to put all new cars on the road. Our tasers that we had were out of date, wouldn't work. Batteries wouldn't stay charged. Same thing with our body cams. We put our heads together, we dug deep, we asked, we scratched. We've got the cars outfitted with Axon car cameras, body cameras, tasers that all talk to one another for officer safety issues. We've overcome a lot in the short time we've been here, and I want to see that continue. And that's why I'm here. That's what we're going to continue to do. Thank you.
All right, Ryan, your turn.
Okay. How's it going? At least I didn't have to go first that time. So, I'm going to take this to 4 minutes, by golly. One of the primary reasons I'm running for this position? Ultimately, I believe leadership is lead by example. I'm going to be a working sheriff. My undersheriff's going to be a working undersheriff. This county can't afford any more deputies. When I first got hired here, there was 4 of us. We had a sheriff and undersheriff who didn't work. It was very officer safety. It was a nightmare. I mean, you can ask deputies from the past, you can ask highway patrol, you can ask fish and game. It was nightmarish for us. It was unsafe. But lead by example. I will never ask my guys or gals to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to do, because that's just who I am. Lead by example. And another reason is backing and encouragement from the community. I'm not going to specifically speak about the one from last night because she's here, and I teared up last night. I won't lie about it. But the kind words that I've received about who I am, what I've brought here, what I've brought to the kids from the schools, how the kids in the schools look at me, they come up and they call me Funk, right? Growing up, I was Funky R. So that makes me feel good that the kids weren't comfortable with the cops. The kids were running from the cops when I came here. Now the kids run to me. They run to me, they say hi to me, they say a lot to me. If they're having problems at home, they even tell me what's happening at home. So I think that's a big thing, is we need the kids in our communities to trust our cops, and they trust me. We also need to bring stability. I'm 43 years old, as stated. Most people think I'm 35, and I thank you for that. But I'm going to be a multi-term sheriff. You know, minimum 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms. Sky's the limit for me. This is my community. It was previously stated. I bought property almost immediately after I was employed here. Built my forever home. I'm going to die here. This is my community. I'm going to go back to the budget thing. I've heard a lot about budgets. By a raise of hands, anybody looked at the Mineral County Sheriff's Office budget recently? There's a few hands. Okay, so it's very concerning to me, a couple things. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse to death, but in a commissioner meeting on January 14, 2022, Jessica Conley, the finance lady for the county, brought up the fact that we are $100,000 in the hole on our cops grant, in the negative. I believe she told the commissioners that we need to pull this position because we're so far in the hole. Also, the Stone Garden grant, negative $47,000. I mean, that was in January, guys. I mean, that's where our budget is at right now. Wayne spoke about the jail making $25,000 last month. That's great. I mean, we're getting money back into the community. However, not at the expense of the safety of our community. We have turned away inmate after inmate after inmate after inmate after inmate because we don't have room or the jail's full. That's not providing safety for our community. And I'm going to provide safety, and I'm going to provide an equal. Yeah, it's nice to bring in money, but there's got to be equality. Safety is my thing. Safety is my first priority for this county. Thank you.
Well, Ryan, you are first this time. So. We're going to go back the other way. You said a little bit in your bio. Can you explain a little bit more what local organizations or community involvement you participate in, and what national memberships do you have?
No national memberships. We'll start that. So organizations, community involvement. Kind of got to speak fast because I ran out of time yesterday. I've been a member of the Trust Creeks Men's Golf League here in beautiful St. Regis for the last 4 years. With that is I've met a lot of people in the community. I talk to those people. I stay afterwards and talk with those people. I learn a lot about the community and what's going on. Being approachable is a large thing for a law enforcement officer. If I'm not approachable, people don't come to me. If I'm approachable and I'm on common ground with people, they come and talk to me. They tell me a lot of things. People come to my house. So that's what being in the community, being in golf leagues, so on and so forth, that bring to cops, bring to the agency. I'm an assistant golf coach with the St. Regis Tigers, and also assistant basketball coach, thanks to Tyler Cheeseman. I jumped at it. I was asked if I could do it, and I did it. If it benefits anybody, I'm willing to do it, guys. I took a couple nights out of my week. I got beat up. I'm not even gonna lie about it. But it benefits the school. It benefits the community. It benefits the kids. Like, the kids know me. The kids can walk up to me. You build a relationship, with these people in your community. I assisted with multiple junior golf camps. That was on my dime. I didn't take any money for putting on junior golf camps. That helped all the junior golfers in Mineral County. I've helped raise over $10,000 for Mineral County Search and Rescue. We didn't have anything. We didn't have money. We had broke down things. If somebody was new to this county and they said, "Hey, Search and Rescue's here," and they'd be like, "Where are they at?" I'm bringing professionalism to Search and Rescue. We're going to look like a team. We're united as a team. We're going to look very professional at what we do. I coordinated Christmas gifts in 2019 with the St. Regis Volunteer Fire Department for the needy people of St. Regis, and that was just with me and my community members. I see one. Fred Sego is one of my neighbors who also assisted with that. I spent a day splitting and stacking firewood for a community member who had lost her husband, and it was going into wintertime. She didn't have firewood. I took a day off. I went and did it. I didn't ask for anything. I think I had a soda. But it's being there for your community when they're in need, on duty, off duty. I'm here for them. I'm not going to put him on the spot. One of my neighbors lost his greenhouse. I put him on the spot. And my wife and I and my kid went over and we spent a couple days helping him. That's just who I am, guys. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help my community and be involved in my community. I'm going to give you a quick thing. A couple years ago, we received a 911 call from a lady and her husband who were lost up on the state line. Somebody gave them the wrong directions. They were stuck in a snowdrift. She had very little oxygen. She needed oxygen 100% of the time. I took my own vehicle, my own side-by-side, a search and rescue member, and spent 6 hours of my own time in the pouring rain saving that lady. I didn't have to, but I did it because that's who I am.
15 seconds.
I am ingrained in this community. This is my community. As my signs say, I'm the people's sheriff, and that is true, 100%. Thank you.
All right, this question to you, Wayne. What local organizations or community involvement do you participate in, and what national memberships do you have?
Like I said, I moved here in July of 2020, and we took on this responsibility. So I've not had a chance really to be away from the jail and fixing problems within the agency. I'm working 50 hours a week and trying to get things up and running. I'm going to redirect here a little bit because some of the aspersions that were cast here were incorrect. The $100,000 he's talking about is true. It was a deficit deal, but it was in the management of two programs that weren't talking to one another. It's since been rectified. The $47,000 he's talking about was equipment that hadn't been through the system yet. It's been rectified. So we're not working on a negative plane on our budget. And that doesn't do it by itself. Equipment doesn't by itself. Bills don't get paid by itself. Somebody's got to be in there doing that and making sure it's getting done. So there's not a whole lot of time left, spending time with family down in Missoula and working and coming out for calls as well. It doesn't leave a whole lot of time. So that's my focus in the future forward, is to start becoming more involved in the community. The National Sheriff's Association I'm a member of, have been for 15 years now, and the NRA, two national agencies I belong to. So with that, I'll sit back down and let Gretchen talk. Thank you.
You don't have to read it again. Okay. All right.
You pass the mic, please.
Oh, pass the mic before I
Oh,
start.
that one, thank you.
You didn't have it the last time for Wayne, did you? No? Of the places that I've volunteered around here, I've helped out here at the senior center doing dishes. I'm pretty good at that. I do it as Hazel asked me to. And and I will, I also, if you need help, I'll help out my neighbors. That's just who I am. I help out Jackie at Jackie's Flowers deliver Valentine's week and this week. So I'm sorry if I'm not as prepared as I should be, because I'm out there bringing you flowers. And so today was a long day too. And my neighbors, I can't speak enough of my neighbors. I don't know if they help me out more, if I help them out more. I think I mentioned, no I didn't, the helpline, the Fall Bazaar, I help set up, take down. I also help assist at the helpline whenever they need a person for safety. If they're going out at night, they'll give me a call and I'll go with them. The national organizations I belong to, I don't get to do much of this, but it's PADI, the Professional Association of Diving Instructors. As you can see, there's a theme here. I do a lot of instructing. And yes, I did reach the level of a dive instructor. International Association of Women Police, I'm a lifetime member of them. No, I will not charge Mineral County to go to their annual meetings, unless, of course, it's over in England or one of those places. I just think the commissioners will say no to me on that. USCCA, that's the United States Concealed Carry Association. So that should tell you where I fall on the Second Amendment. And the best one, AAA. And I think everyone who drives a car should belong to something like that. As far as anything else, as far as a formal volunteer, no. I go and I help out if someone needs help. And it doesn't matter if I'm setting up tables or whatever. I will do whatever I can for people. Did I get the next?
So this is the last one of the written questions. What are the most important problems that you see in this office, and how do you plan on solving them?
The most important problems in this office of sheriff is the management. The sheriff has got to be a manager. They've got to be someone who can budget, someone who can say no and someone who can say yes when it's necessary, someone who can do research, and who will go out there and campaign for Mineral County to get funds. The sheriff is just not a law enforcement officer. They are there to make Mineral County and the office and of sheriff better and give the deputies what they need. Right now, we do not have that. Excuse me. We need, as I mentioned before, retained deputies. and we need to hire qualified deputies. Training. My instructor certificates, I will send them to post police officer standards and training up in Helena. And most of them should come back as making me an instructor under Montana's criteria. I'm not going to say all because I haven't submitted them yet. My certificate as a law enforcement officer will also be submitted, and I will have to take a 2-week course to be post-certified. I will also have to take a course as far as a coroner. That one area I feel is very important. I've dealt with many instances of dead bodies. My past has allowed me to do many investigations, from a natural death to a homicide to unknowns. You need experience as an investigator. That experience I have, but that experience, most importantly, I'm going to share with the deputies and teach them how to investigate. I don't need to respond to all the calls. They need to respond to it and do it properly. However, I will follow them initially, just to see where their strengths and weaknesses are. I'm not going to do it all the time. I need to know where their weaknesses are so I can teach them how to do better. That's the most important thing. Report writing is atrocious. It needs to be improved. It needs to go to a true format so that we're able to present a good case to the county attorney. We cannot just do half investigations. We've got to collect our evidence. We've got to do it properly so it's legally defendable. If I'm going to arrest you and ruin your life because that's what I'm doing, I better do it right. And we're not doing that right now. So all these things need to be taught and trained. I'm not expecting to do it all the way. I expect my deputies to do it. And once I show them how to do it, I expect them to do it right. It's a simple formula. Thank you very much.
Wayne, what are the most important problems that you see in this office, and how do you plan on solving them?
Thank you. The biggest problem I've seen thus far at the sheriff's office is recruitment and retention of people. The jail has closed on 2 different occasions, both times due to staffing, not because it was not legal or anything else. It was due to finding people in there that can watch these folks. We've had a whole flow of dispatchers through since I've been here. There's 2 left that were here. Some left on their own, some have been terminated for cause. Trying to find quality people to come in the door. We've had a dispatcher position open for the last 6 months. We've advertised on Facebook, we've online, on paper. They're not coming in. The applications are not coming in. So what do? You know, we have to investigate ways to get people in our doors first and foremost. Second is retention. We're only an hour away from Missoula that can offer a lot more money for the same job. So we have to invest in our folks, train them, make them feel valuable so they want to stay in the community and lead us through all this. You know, we're starting, we started from scratch basically, and we're trying to get it changed. So that's my biggest fight right now is finding quality folks and retaining them. So for what it's worth, thanks, folks.
Ryan, what do you see as the most important problems in this office, and how do you plan on solving them?
I think, as I stated before, leadership, lead by example. As a working sheriff and under sheriff, that trust the people. There you go. Sorry. That trust the people, trust that they know how to do their job and they know how to do their job proficiently. If somebody doesn't get told they're not doing their job proficiently, wouldn't you assume you're doing your job proficiently? Okay. I've never been told that I don't do my job proficiently. I've never been told that I write crappy reports per se. So leadership, lead by example, and I think that just goes down the road. If I'm willing to do anything for my guys, they know that, and they'll work harder. A good job, I think getting in an employee of the quarter, deputy of the year, so you can show some recognition for a job well done, I think goes a long ways and makes people want to work harder for you. Employee retention is a big thing. I'm the most senior person inside the whole entire sheriff's office, and I've been here for 4.5 years. That's sad. That's sad. But that goes from leadership, that goes from wages. When I got hired here, I think it was like a week or two after I got hired here, I got offered a job for $10 more an hour in Missoula County. I stayed here. This is my home. You guys are my people. Like, I am one of you. That's the way it is. I'm not going to take $10 more an hour. I wasn't afforded an opportunity here, and I'm here. I'm here for the right reason. I'm here for you guys. Gretchen said that, losing somebody costs around $100,000. I can only imagine 6 to 10 people have left since I've been here. I mean, that's astronomical. But once again, I think that goes towards leadership. Training. I would love all the training in the world. But when you're a bare bone department, going to sometimes 20 calls a day in a 12-hour period, I would like to know where we're going to go to training. Unless we have people to cover shifts, unless we have the support staff that wants to come and help cover shifts, in-house training is about as good as we get. So until we get a full staff, people willing to cover shifts for deputies, so we can go to training, that's when we'll get our training. And if elected, I'm going to put Gretchen on the spot, I would appoint her as a reserve deputy to help us do this in-house training. Do training a month. Every month, have in-house training. I haven't talked to her in depth, but I hope to. We just met yesterday, so hopefully we're on good standing terms. So we all need training. I don't dispute that. However, I've received less than 60 hours of training in 4.5 years since I've been here. Whether that be budgets, whether that be, not having enough people to staff, it's a giant nightmare for us. Equal treatment and equality amongst staff. You got to treat one as you treat the other and not show favoritism. I work 40 to 50 hours a week also. I have a family. I'm in the community, guys. I make time for you because you matter. Thank you.
So that concludes the written questions that we had prepared for the sheriff's candidates. We're going to keep moving on. We're going to go right into the Minnow County Treasurer and County Superintendent position. We have 2 candidates. I'll read the first, Mary. I'll read Mary Mueller's bio. Mary Christine Mueller grew up in the Missoula area. Mary and Mike chose to move to Minnow County 30 years ago to raise a family because all that Minnow County has to offer. Their 3 biological children graciously welcomed their 3 foster adopted children, the first 2 in 2004 and again in 2008. They've raised them from infants. All 6 have blessed their lives. Mary has welcomed partners of her 3 oldest children and is proud to welcome 2 grandchildren. Mary has always had a knack for numbers. After a few college accounting classes, she began a long career in bookkeeping. Her knowledge was obtained by offering to help coworkers with their work. This ambition progressed from her secretarial to AR, AP, and payroll duties in many industries, including construction, trucking, paper and pulp mills, lumber yards, and bark plants, to name a few. Mary landed a 16-year job at the school district, adding governmental accounting and school election administration duties. Her audits were very clean every year, no findings. Mary has always worked multiple jobs, usually one 40-hour-a-week job and additional jobs in the service industry, totaling up to 60 or 70 hours a week. Mary's work in the service industry has always been exceptional due to the fact that she doesn't judge people, is trusting, and gives everyone a chance. Her hobbies include attending her children's sports activities, hunting, gardening, and gardening to provide for her family, quilting, reading, softball, golfing, and playing at the lake. Christine, could you please tell us, I got stuck on your middle name. Mary, could you please share with us a little bit more about your professional background? I'll leave that with you.
So some of the places that I have done after my college classes, worked for Superior Color and Lumber, Smurfett Stone Container, Mountain West Bark Plant, Quartz Logging and Birdie Creek Logging. Mike Mueller and I were also 1/3 owners of the Grubley Concrete Construction in Missoula. When I had the job at the Superior School District, I managed a $3 million general fund and miscellaneous funds budgets, including mineral, Medi, state and federal grants. Additionally, managing budgeted funds, including transportation, food service, retirement, and building funds. I'm frequently approached by teachers from the district, janitors, students, administration, and staff, appreciating my going above and beyond to help them with their needs. Additional duties include accounts payable, accounts receivable, school district elections, payroll and human resource for 50-plus employees. Financial duties were in compliance with the governmental accounting business standards, and all duties were in compliance with federal, the Montana Codes annotated, and local laws, including reporting requirements. I was responsible for preparing the trustees' financial statement to the board and the administration. My audits were very clean and results were positive. I'm excited to have been working in the treasurer's office for 4 years. The school business managers must balance their books with the county treasurers, which is what I did from the school end for 16 years. I'm responsible for balancing accounting books with the 3 districts. Additional duties are vehicle licensing, property taxes, balancing bank statements, and assisting the current Mary Arnold with superintendent duties. Between working the school and additional jobs, I was the deputy clerk and recorder for 2 years due to my knowledge in elections, record retention, and accounting. I'm a hard worker, very dedicated to my office in this county. I have experience. Prior positions have required me to supervise employees. I have 15-plus years balancing budgets. I have also worked multiple jobs in the service industry, serving the public, ordering product, employee scheduling, AP, AR, payroll, and accounting for financial transactions on my shift. And my work in the service industry has been exceptional. Thank you.
All right, our next candidate for Minnow County Treasurer and County Superintendent is Jill Betts. Jill was born in 1980 in Missoula, the only child of Ed Heppy. She grew up right here in Minnow County, Superior specifically, and graduated from high school here. She attended college in Jamestown, North Dakota, where she worked toward a bachelor degree in business management and information technology. Then began a long career with Walmart, where she held many different high-level positions within the organization. This is where she met her husband, Guy, in June of 2005 and got married in February of 2006. They have 2 kids, Eddie and Quentin. Walmart offered so many opportunities that took her and her family to many different places around the U.S. In 2014, she took a store manager position where she would solely manage an $80 million budget and 300-plus associates for the next 6 years. In 2020, as a family, they decided that a work-life balance and family experiences were what they needed, so they decided to take a leap and move back to Minnow County. Jill took a tax and title clerk position in the Minnow County Treasurer's Office and also works as the Ace Hardware Manager at Darlow's Quality Foods. They chose Superior for all that it offers recreationally, which is something they enjoyed when they took their yearly vacations here. They also were ready for the smaller town setting and, of course, the people. When Jill is not working, she enjoys fishing, going to sporting events, floating the river, and playing cornhole. Should Jill be elected Treasurer Superintendent of Schools, she is committed to serving the community in this capacity by using her experiences and knowledge to manage the county and school finances. She looks forward to working with other elected officials and making this wonderful place she grew an even better place. With that, Jill, take up to 4 minutes to share any additional professional information.
Well, good evening. Thank you guys for coming. I'm going to try not to be very lengthy. I feel like the professional part of me is pretty. That's my life. My adult life has been Walmart. So, and that's allowed me to have many experiences that I'm sure you've seen. People of Walmart on Facebook or on social media or have been in a Walmart. So that's really given me some experience that growing up here in Mineral County, I lived in big cities. We were in the greater Seattle area for a long time, so coming from here was very difficult for me to be in the city life. But luckily my husband, that's where he was born and raised kind of, so it really helped us out to fit in there. I just like to point out that working for Walmart, I started at the very bottom, so I was just an hourly associate making $8 an hour, just zoning shelves, putting returns away and stuff, and thought it was just my way to get through college, and it just kind of grew on me. The people, how much they, there's bad connotation out there about Walmart, but they took care of us, and it was very good pay, and they worked me up all the way through. So I worked from hourly positions up to salaried positions up to a store manager, which is the highest level of management that you can get to in a Walmart. Like it was stated, I ran an $80 million budget for 6 years, 300 plus people, and was able to leave and come home, and it gave me enough money to be able to basically retire from there. So this opportunity came up, and I wanted to do it just because I feel like I have the experience to do it, but I also feel like it's good for everybody to have that experience in Mineral County. If I had left Mineral County and done all those things and been able to come back, I want to be able to give that back to you. So, thank you.
So Jill, you get the first question. And you just talked a little bit about it, but can you expand on
Sure.
What are the primary reasons you're running for this position?
Well, kind of like Wayne, I really wasn't going to. Mary Arnold decided she was going to retire, and I thought, well, I work in the office, and I really like the office, and I have the experience for the office. So I discussed it with her and said, what do you think? And I discussed it with the office, actually, because we are, like Mary stated, we are all good in the office, and we like it there, and we're cohesive as a group. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody was going to be okay with that. So talked to my husband, as I moved back here for my kids. I wanted them to be able to have the experiences that I had that wasn't city life, and be able to play sports and do all the stuff that I had the advantages of doing. And so that gave me work-life balance to be able to do this. I mean, as I was stated, I work at Darlow's too. It doesn't interfere with this. I go over there in the morning and do my job. I do my orders and all the stuff I need to do. I go over there at my lunchtime and do the other things I need to. And we do events on the weekends sometimes for Ace. Ace is fun. I mean, retail is part of me, so I can't give that up because I love it. But it also doesn't interfere with this. So I feel like I got off the question a little bit, but I wanted the position just because, like I said, I thought that Mary needed somebody to hand it off to that she felt was experienced enough to honor her for being there for 30 years, and that you guys deserve somebody who had the experience in the office to take care of the school district, the money, and provide for the community. So, thank you.
All right, Mary, what are the primary reasons you are running for this position?
Well, I'm going to keep mine kind of short. I've been in the community for 30 years, and I am not leaving. I love serving the public, all the way from Lookout Pass to Borgia, Hagen, St. Regis, up Highway 135 here, the whole county. I love serving all of you. I never get complaints. I have many notes of gratitude. I'm very accurate and efficient with what I do. I'm great with numbers, and I love the bookkeeping aspect of the treasurer's office. I want to further a little bit more and get more into the bookkeeping. I've done quite a bit of it, but not hands-on all of it. And so, most importantly, I love this county, and I'd be honored to work with you guys.
Mary, we're going to stick with you, and there's just one more question for this round. What do you feel are the biggest problems in your office, and how do you plan on solving them?
Okay. I would say one of the biggest hurdles is sometimes people don't realize that we have to follow the law. And until I was in the position, there are many questions I would have had. Most important fix is to compassionately explain to why we can or cannot accomplish a request, whether from the public or any entity. Yes, a lot of people are moving in. Let's get them into our system. Let's get them paying our taxes to boost our economy and welcome them into our community. Let them be a part of our community. Other than that, I approach people, coworkers, customers, department heads, and commissioners alike with a positive attitude. I feel the work environment is critical to the amount of work that can be accomplished. I have proven in the past that I have been a good supervisor and giving clear, concise instructions to my coworkers. I would like to collaborate with other department heads to understand their goals and objectives, to become more cohesive and become the greatest county in Montana, that people look at us, from the sheriffs, the county attorney, the district courts, clerk and recorder, planning and sanitation, justice of the peace, maintenance, dispatch, and deputies. Thank you.
Okay, Jill, a question to you. What do you feel the biggest problems with this position are, and how do you plan on solving them?
So I touched on this a little bit last night, and it's kind of what Mary's saying too. There's a lot of subdivisions and a lot of people moving here, like she pointed out. And basically what she's talking about is there's a lot of laws on proving residency. And so, as I mentioned last night as well, that it was mentioned in a commissioners meeting that, you know, there's a lot of people moving here and they can't prove that residency. And so we have to work hard with them to make them understand what they need for that. So, to make it short, it's, you know, you have to be able to prove that you actually live here. So you have to have some sort of power, water, sewer, something like that to be able to prove that. And that's probably been the biggest challenge right now that we're going through with the subdivisions happening and with the customers being, as she was saying, us being compassionate. That's the complaints that you would get out of our office right now, is that the law says they have to have those two proofs, and without them, we aren't allowed to let them register vehicles or do any of that stuff. And so to be able, when you're upset and a customer's upset, you're just following the law, I think it's important that they know the law. So we're working already in our office with that, especially right now we're working with Shyrock especially, to make sure that their transition in is easy and that they can be part of this community, and that all the residents are going to understand before they get to our office what they're going to need to prove residency, so that smooths that out a lot. So that's about it for me. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mary and Jill. We're going to move on to the last bio I have to read. This is for the House District 14. I'll read the bio for Denley Loge. Graduated from high school in St. Regis in 1968. After graduation, he attended the University of Montana and received a Bachelor of Arts degree in Geography, certified in secondary education. During his college summers, besides helping run the family ranch, he began working on highway construction. This became his occupation, mostly in St. Regis and Minnow County area, but building Interstate 90, but also included one stint at Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, as an ice road trucker. In 1986, he began to purchase the family ranch and changed from a private sector road construction to work on the work on the Montana Highway Department and on highway maintenance. He still continues to ranch in St. Regis and also has some timberland that he logs periodically. He is a hunter and a fisherman and can be found singing in concerts and playing his trombone locally or in the University of Montana Alumni Band. He has spent his whole life participating on local boards and committees. Speaking of his whole life, he has actually been on the county planning board for 48 years. After his retirement from MDT in 2015, he ran for legislature and began as a legislator in Helena for 3 terms and is running for his 4th and final term for the Montana House of Representatives, House District 14. Denley, can you please share any additional information on your professional background?
I can add a little bit. Back in the construction days when I started working, I was laborer and I was also superintendent of jobs. The 17 years that I worked construction, I went pretty much all the gamuts of that. But along that time frame and when I was working in construction, depending on what job I was on, I was always offering up ideas to the company, to the superintendents, to the owners. And when you work out on jobs, as Dave knows, there's sometimes problems that show up, and the idea is to add solutions and work through those problems. And that's one of the things I've always been, is to work through the solutions. And when I went to work for the highway department, I was on Lookout Pass to start with. I ended up in Superior as a section supervisor and then back up to Lookout. But we always had problems there that needed solutions, on-the-spot solutions. And that's one of the things, even on that job, that I carried out was problem solving and finding solutions for the problems. And the new director that we have in Helena just told me a few weeks ago, he said that he heard I was the hero up on Lookout Pass because didn't always follow the exact guidelines, because that required a little different planning and thought process up there. But he said you always, from what I heard, you always followed through, you got things done, and if there were any discouraging words, you took all the words yourself rather than dish it off on the crew. You didn't ever pass the buck. And that's what I feel right now. Being in Helena, I'm not there to pass the buck. I stand up for what I voted for. If people have questions, they can ask me the questions. I've been on the Business and Labor Committee for 3 terms. I've been on Fish, Wildlife, and Park Committee for 3 terms, and I'm in Transportation Committee 3 terms, and I'm actually chairman for 2 of those terms. And people call me, and just the other day I got a call. They're having some problems with DEQ, and I called the director of DEQ. And so professionally, I like to get things done, and I think out of the box. Even my cows, to be able to go to Helena, I had to think out of the box, and I leased my cows out so I can be in Helena during calving season. So that's the idea, is to go there and work on solutions. And so that's my background has lent to working on solutions, not just for myself, but for others.
Okay, thank you. The next question, Denley, is what are the primary reasons you're running for this position?
6 years ago, we had Nick Schwatter as the representative, and the day before the filing deadline, we were at a funeral together, and he told me that he was planning on moving to England. And so the position was going to be open, and I filed then the last day because I thought we needed somebody there that knew the community, knew the people, could follow in his footsteps as far as understanding. He actually was even a little young to understand the community, but that's the reason I started. Now it's when I come home and I walk in the grocery store and people say thank you for being there, thank you for representing us. You're representing us, you're not representing any groups, you're not representing factions, you're representing all of us. And that's the reason. It's those thank yous I get when I walk down the street, when I go in the store. I'm available for people. People know they can talk to me, and I think I have the interest. When people are telling me what their interest, I know there are people that don't like the votes, some of the votes. You can't please everybody all the time. But I go out there and I get the input from people, and I try to make sure that I am representing this district and not any special group. So that's the reason I'm going back for the 4th term.
Okay. What local organizations, community involvement do you participate in, or what national memberships do you have?
I need the paper. I have a few things that I'm involved in the community, and I have been for a while. And the first one right now, it's the Mineral and Sanders County Forest Collaboratives, and I think right now you're seeing logging trucks go through Mineral County, you're seeing them go through Sanders County. And that's because of the involvement, not just myself. There are a lot of people that have gotten involved in that collaborative, and that's what it takes. It takes that involvement. We've gotten the Forest Service, at least in this area, to turn around. And we've created jobs. When you look at the logging trucks coming through, you know just how many jobs we've created. So that's one of the groups I'm in. I'm chairman of the Mineral County Resource Advisory Committee. When the Title II money comes back from Forest Service, it's supposed to be a group from the county or from the area to decide on some of those projects. People can submit projects, and then that group decides what money goes, and I'm chairman of that Resource Advisory Committee. I was past chairman of the Lutheran Church for about 3 years. I've been on, as stated, on the Mineral County Planning Board for 48 years, so most of you are on any kind of a subdivision. I probably was one of those that did the review on the subdivision as far as the Planning Board Committee made the approvals. I'm on the Mineral County Performing Arts Council. We just put on a concert here about a month ago. I'm on Region 2 Citizens Advisory Committee for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. We meet in Missoula, but it's a board to apply, and it brings in some of the concerns of the residents of the Region 2 Fish, Wildlife, and Park area. And we just discuss it and then send some recommendations to Helena. I've been in the University Alumni Band. I was in the first band that formed. I've been in it 30 years. I missed 1 year, and that was the year I went with the rugby team to New Zealand. I picked the New Zealand trip rather than march in the parade. Mineral County 4-H Council. My Hawaiian shirts have raised over $8,000 for the Mineral County 4-H Council, auctioning them off at the auction sales. And the community band, we always have, or have been, usually if we're not on tractors, we're maybe playing at the 4th of July or playing some of the events around. I was in Missoula Mineral County Farm Service Agency. I was a committee man for 8 years, which is the term they allow. I was on Mineral County Soil Conservation Board for 16 years. I had to resign when I got elected to the legislature. And I've been on the Montana Private Land Public Wildlife Council for 12 years. That was appointed by the governor. And part of the function we do there is to try to promote access for fishing and hunting on private and public lands. Try to come up with some programs, and that's one of the things block management came out of before I got involved in that. But that's the other thing, and that's another one I can bring up Dave's name. I have quite a few hunters in here probably have hunted on my property, because all the property I have is open for block management, open for access. And to me, that's really important. That's one of the heritages we have in Mineral County or in Montana, is to be able to participate and go after the wildlife and have the access to that land and actually to the Forest Service land behind mine. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to say that you get a big long break here, but we have one more question for you, and that is, what are the most important problems that are facing this office? How do you plan to solve them?
Going to Helena, we have a lot of problems facing. At least we're not as bad as on the national level. National level, there's chaos, and I think in Helena we haven't gotten to the chaos point yet, but it tries to creep in. And that's one of the things for me is I've always been pretty calm and try to work through those solutions and find solutions with just calm approaching, find the right people and talk up solutions. But we've got some of the problems. We've got taxation, and of course property tax, everybody knows that's going out of sight. We have a lot of things happening with the people moving into the state, and I will say this next session there will be quite a bit of discussion on the taxation problem and how to resolve some of those problems with property taxes. Although most of you might not be aware, but the property taxes, most of the reason, all the property taxes come back to the local level except 6 mills for the university and some for education. But it's the local mills. It's the local mills that you pass are what puts your property taxes up. There's an assessment process that goes on, but like I say, that money comes back, and it's the mills that go through the county that are dealing mostly with property. But we have other tax issues we have to deal with. Housing, we all know that's a problem, and to me that is not a public problem as far as you don't infuse money from public funds. It's a private problem. The way to make it successful is maybe some incentivize some of the building and maybe try to get some of the builders to look at duplexes or fourplexes maybe, so that block of land is costing so much money. If they can put more houses or more people on that block of land, in certain instances you could do that, and that may bring some of the housing costs down. But somehow there has to be an incentive there for that private sector to bite, but not to infuse public funds. Jobs, we know we have a lot of natural resources. Mineral County is one, but you look up around Libby and the regulations have gotten carried away. And I know Kristen Juris, our Lieutenant Governor, is digging into a lot of those regulations to try and cut those back. But like Libby, they had a regulation, the water had to be cleaner coming out of a mine than it was naturally coming out of the mountainside. Crazy. That shouldn't happen. And so that has to be cleaned up. The recreation marijuana passed as a referendum. And it didn't have any good guidelines as far as the spending, the collection, and so that's one of the things we'll be going back in and reviewing that and straightening out. Law enforcement needs more money because of that, and actually medically too. There's some costs there. We've been working on technical education, trying to get the schools back, getting the welding programs going, and putting some money back into that sort of education rather than just the academics. Academics was really pushed by my folks' generation, and we lost a lot of electricians, we lost a lot of plumbing jobs because for a while those technical schools were kind of second rate, and they are not. They're needed very well. Access is another issue. We're finding more and more people coming in, and you see the no trespassing signs go up, and so that's part of that PLPW, and part of the other Fish and Wildlife. You try to find a way to work through some of those access, but you still have to recognize private property. Private property rights are number one. Stop.
Thank you, everybody. This concludes the prepared questions for the candidates. We're going to take a brief intermission, collect any questions that might have been written, and a few will be chosen. And we'll meet back here and we'll go through those. The time limit for those questions is 2 minutes. Looks like we retained a lot of people. That's good. So we got a handful of questions, not as many as I was thinking. Just a few were selected. These are the questions that we're going to read. If your question wasn't asked, there was a particular reason, whether it addressed a single person or it was kind of a personal nature. If you want to continue your discussion afterwards, you're more than welcome to, but this is what we're going to do within this forum. We've got just one quick question that I was going to ask our sheriff's candidates and the treasury position, and that is, If you're not elected, do you intend to stay with Mineral County, employed with Mineral County? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I'm here. This is my community.
I second that, absolutely.
Wayne?
Excuse me.
You're really here.
Yes.
He'll take his chair with him.
However, I probably won't have a job with the sheriff's office because I was appointed by Sheriff Toth, but I will remain in the community.
Yep. This is a little bit different for you, but
I don't have a job. But I'll look at these two and we'll have a definite discussion after November. A serious discussion. How's that?
That sounds
and if
good.
they need help before then, I'm more than willing to look at it and help them.
all right. Jill?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I feel like the county the county doesn't pay great. So, as a title clerk, I make $12.50. I've been an hour. I've been there for 3 years. And a dispatcher or a jailer makes 17. And it was just passed for us last year by the commissioners that we only get raises at budget time. You don't get paid raises for merit or for any other things. So, or if you've reached your year or any of those things. So I have to take care of my family and I get paid $3 more an hour at Darlow's. So I choose the job at the title in this office because I love it, not because it pays. So I'm being honest. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Options for the Treasury School Superintendent position. So I'm going to give each of them 2 minutes to just share with us what they would like to wrap up. So, Mary, 2 minutes.
Okay. I'm very excited to have seen all of you here, and it was nice visiting with those that I could visit with. I guess my strong points are that I've been in the community for 30 years. I have been in the accounting of the county and school district for 20. I care about this community and everyone from there to Petty Creek in Alberton. I would be honored to serve you, continue serving you in a little bit more of a greater capacity than I currently am. Thank you.
Final thoughts, Jill?
Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming too. There's a lot of faces that I recognize, so that's nice to see. Once again, I'm glad to be back. I'm happy to have a work-life balance with my family and to be here. And we're staying in Mineral County no matter what. So my kids love it here. They love their friends. They love the people. They love to see the people that I grew up with and got to meet them and see that they knew me when I was little and all those things. So I just really think that I'm looking for the vote of experience. It's not about who's nice. It's not about who's going to be the person that's kind to you. I think it's more about doing the job, following the law, and following the law yourself. So I'm about the experience. Thank you.
We are next going to do 2 questions for the sheriff's candidates. You'll each get 2 minutes to answer these. We'll go ahead and we'll start with Ryan and go to Gretchen. Stopping with Wayne, sorry. We'll go Ryan, Wayne, Gretchen, and then we'll go back to Ryan again for the next question. How have you supported other agencies, including Highway Patrol, Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, local fire, and EMS?
Only 2 minutes. So the biggest thing is we're a small community. We work with a lot of agencies. I work very well with every one of them. If you guys don't know, we're ex officio game wardens, so Alex loves me. When he's not out, we can do fishing game. And that gets us personal contacts. That gets us out talking with the community. That gets my trainees talking with the community. So when I came here, I don't think agency to agency like mesh. I made it mesh. I went to the department heads I've become very good friends with Sergeant Sean Smalley with the Montana Highway Patrol and most of the patrol guys. That's my job. I need to be able to offer my support and get their support in the city. If I call for backup, they're there at the snap of a finger. Recently, I think it's gotten a little, I don't know, out of control per se, as far as the way the sheriff's office has treated highway patrol. We were in the same office. We've disbanded that. They have their own office, and we've been called off pursuits. With the Wade Palmer incident several years ago, myself and I'm gonna throw AJ Allard out there. We were working in Mineral County. We knew that Wade Palmer was out with a guy who possibly just killed people in Missoula. AJ and I drove towards Alberton because we didn't know what was going to happen. We heard that he wasn't answering the radio. Without any hesitation, we ran to that man on the top of Evero Hill, not in Mineral County, but to give him help and to show people we're here, like we're brothers. And that's what it means to me. Thank you.
Wayne, have you or will you support other agencies, including Highway Patrol, Fish, Wildlife, Parks, local fire, and EMS?
Yes, absolutely. We're a phone call away. The pursuit that Brian was just talking about was a speed-only call. When I got notified of it, Ryan did come out for that because it was coming right through here. We found out it was a stolen vehicle in the middle of the pursuit, and nobody was called off. And to my knowledge, that's the only pursuit I know that we've been called off of Highway Patrol. But the difference with the Highway Patrol and the office was a budgeting thing. That was a decision that was made by the sheriff, and a rent thing. That was, I don't believe that was, they were told to get out. That was a choice that they made. This is a small area and we have to rely on one another. And my only conflict with the Highway Patrol is jurisdiction. That highway is theirs. If they need help, we're going to help them. But we're not going to take their calls for them because our deputies need to be concentrated in the community areas that pay their salary. And that, with my knowledge, is the only head-to-head that we've had with any agency. So, thank you.
Gretchen, how have you? Will you support other agencies, including Highway Patrol, Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, local fire, and EMS?
I believe that we should be working with all those different agencies. We also need to bring in the DEA. We do have a narcotics problem here, and quite frankly, local people are too known. So they need to come in. We need to also make sure that when we do our investigations, if it's bigger than Mineral County, we do have to go to DCI and have them come in and do the investigation, especially for evidence collection. That's crucial. We also need to improve, no matter what, we need to improve our standing with other agencies. Right now, we are not looked upon as being that credible. We need to improve our reputation by doing the right thing for them and with them, and show them we're better trained and we're better qualified than they are. And we will do that.
Last question for the sheriff's candidates. Ryan, we're back to you. As sheriff, how would you ensure that deputies are responding effectively to domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking to create safety for victims and hold offenders accountable?
It's the same question from the last night.
It sounds like it, yes.
Leadership, hiring people that are able to do the job and are qualified to do the job. That's the biggest thing, and like I said, it comes from leadership. If leadership fails, it fails all the way down the line. You got to create a team. You got to create professionals around you that make you look better. If you have professionals, if you have quality trained people, if you have people willing to run through that wall if somebody's shooting on the other side of it to save your butt, those are the people I want. I want the people that are here to protect the community, whether any crime, whether it be domestic or anything. We need to be here for our community. We need to be here to save you guys if you need saving. We need to be here to be a shoulder for you to cry on if you lose a loved one. I'm a coroner, and that's the biggest thing. Trying to do a death notification, you have to be able to treat this grieving person who's like some of the worst time of their life. They've lost somebody. You need to be there for that person, be able to talk to that person, be able to get somebody there to help that person. And that's what this job's about, right? This job's about helping the people in our community, whether it's good or bad. We're here for you either way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Wayne, as sheriff, how would you ensure that deputies are responding effectively to domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking to create safety for victims and hold offenders accountable?
I believe that we're doing that now. One of the biggest things we need to do right now is also build a rapport with our county attorneys. So when our reports are turned into the county attorney, if it's not what they need to prosecute the crime, that they can come down and say, hey, this report needs to be kicked back. It starts at my level when I approve reports and send them up. If there's deficiencies, that's where we catch them. And then we partner with the county attorney's office and they come back down and say, hey, we can't do anything with this. It needs to be more investigation, which has happened on several occasions. So that's the key to that, monitoring, good people, training, and a good working relationship between county attorney and the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Wayne.
Domestic violence, sexual assault, what else?
Or stalking, to create safety for victims and hold offenders accountable.
Domestic assault and sexual assault are very similar in the way that you investigate. Right now, we do not have the tools to do a proper investigation. Just because I beat up on my husband, Denley here, doesn't mean that he goes to jail because he's the male. I've got to listen to the victim. I've got to listen to the person who I believe might be the suspect. And you know what? You got to do that by listening to the people at the scene. You just don't go in there assuming that the male or the female is the guilty party. So it has to be a fair and impartial investigation. We do not have the tools to do a proper sexual assault investigation here, period. We need to get those tools here. We need to teach our deputies how to handle a sexual assault victim, how to handle a stalking victim. Just because a person is calm and passive as a victim does not mean that this crime has not happened. When I get scared, I get deadpan. And stay out of my way, by the way. I become so deadpan and matter of fact, and that's what you're going to hear on the radio, in my voice. Here, I'm more nervous than when I go into a tactical situation. So you guys have really messed me up here. I actually believe that we need to focus more on teaching our deputies to recognize the signs of sexual assault, because the female is not always going to come forth. The domestic violence, the male is not always going to come forth. And stalking, that's the same thing. I'm sorry, I only have a couple seconds left, 15 seconds. Just remember, we need to learn how to investigate, and I have the tools to help them do it.
Thank you. We're going to move now. We have two questions for the House District 14 candidates. Randy, did you want to take 2 minutes for each of these questions? Sure. Okay. The first one, Randy, and I'll go ahead and begin. Oh, I'll have a spot up here first.
I'm not part of the forum, but if you want to ask me a question, I'm here to answer.
So 2 minutes. What are the biggest fiscal challenges in regards to funding schools and other state services in our county?
Well, I think there's, a lot of reasons why we don't have funding. Just getting grants, a lot of people think all the money should come from grants. Grants have strings attached. The federal government doesn't hand out money unless they get something in return. And I'm not favorable to grants. But, Denley brought up the fact of property taxes. They're going up every day. I don't believe that they should go up because people move into the area from other areas and drive the real estate prices up. He illustrated quite well that we need to find a way to address those taxes. But taxes do fund those school districts. And I'm not for taking that tax money away. I just think that we have to cap it at some point. There's an initiative being run around now that we actually are getting signatures for. It's called Cap Montana. It would cap the real estate tax for the house that you live in, not investment properties, not commercial properties, just for the home you lived in at 2019 levels.
1 minute.
And 2019 levels were before COVID-19 and all this influx of new people into the area driving the prices up. Those signatures would allow for it to get onto the ballot in November, and the people would vote on it, wouldn't go through the legislature. And I think that there's a lot of money being raised now from these increased valuations and taxes that nobody can really, look forward and see what kind of money's going to be coming forward. I think the funding will be there.
Denley? What are the biggest fiscal challenges in regards to funding schools and other state services in our county?
Well, I think what we're seeing right now is, of course, inflation is going up. So all the costs are going up. The teacher wages are going up. This last year there was something passed to give $3,000 bonus out for some of these smaller schools like there are in Mineral County for a retention of those teachers. Some of that's some state money that comes to help those local districts, but it's some state funding. We send in our tax dollars to Helena. 6 mills is taken out for the university, and then some is spread around the redistricting of the dollars, so our small schools get a bigger proportion back than our heavily populated areas. But it's all about the spending. Any time you're going to have to figure about probably losing a little bit of service somehow because everything costs money. But we're seeing, and I think, we just had an election and we just had a mill levy out there, and I think everywhere we look, and even on a personal basis, everybody's trying to tighten the budget. And that's basically what it boils down to, even in the school districts. We've got to tighten the budget. We have, maybe some people say, an overabundance of some of the aides and the teachers in the schools. Some of those are really needed. Some of them may have to be cut back. But it's up to the school boards to make that real cut in the schools to make it work. Consolidation in some areas has been a success, but consolidation in the studies shows that if you still have to keep the grade school open, facilities are a big part of the school spending. So you've got to clean up some of that spending on the facility. It's all about, we don't have enough money to go around, and the only way to straighten that out is cut your budgets, really. That's the simple answer.
Okay. Okay, so this is the last question for the House District candidates. If you're approached by an angry constituent or one that you disagree with, how would you handle this? Denley, I'm going to start with you.
You walking down the sidewalk, it happens a lot. And what I try to do is search out what the problem is, what's bothering them. Sometimes they just want to rant and rave and release some energy. Some have a specific point that they want looked into. And I try to look into those points if I can. If it's a problem like with DEQ there's been some problems with the highway department. And I try to make the proper phone calls, get a hold of the directors or get a hold of the appropriate persons if I can. Try to diffuse the situation so you can really get at the problem, because sometimes there's too much excitement and too much of the reaction, and you don't really find out what's going on. And sometimes it's just, like I say, just for them to release. But I try to find out what that problem is and come to a resolve or a solution for them if I can find the appropriate person to make that connection. And I've even given out phone numbers of the directors that don't like their phone numbers given out. But sometimes people need that. They need the direct contact with the person above or a deputy. And I'm willing to do that. I just say, don't say where you got the number.
Just to follow up to the first question, it really isn't about how much money you have, it's how you spend the money. And Denley touched on that. I think there's a lot of wasted money throughout the state that can be tightened up. We all have to tighten our budgets, with the inflation and all. It's something that we have to address. As far as people and their complaints, we've been campaigning all over the district. I'm sure everybody knows that it's not just Mineral County. This encapsulates all of Plains District 6 and 7, all of Hot Springs is 8, Paradise and Dixon is 9. I've been campaigning all over the district. I've been to many Q&As and meet and greets. We've run into lots of people with complaints. I'm not going to illustrate the complaints here tonight because you'll think it's directed at Denley. But there is a lot of concern through this district. The representation is not being properly represented as a Republican representative. And there's been some people that have vented on me about it. I'm not the representative. And, I think more so than anything, you have to listen to people. Let them express themselves, let them get it out, and then let them know that, I can't do anything for you about what's happened in the past, only what I can do for you in the future. And I can't make you any promises. I'd only be one representative in the House out of 100. I can vote. I can guarantee you I would vote as a Republican for the Republican platform for the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, and the Montana State Constitution, and with God. And I illustrate that to them, and at some point that diffuses their concerns. That's all I have.
All right. Thanks for your With that concludes all the questions that we're going to ask tonight. I wish I had some brilliant story to share with you, but I am going to share a little bit, and that is getting to come back to Mineral County, getting to see this race. I said last night, the race for the sheriffs, they're going to be the sheriff that ushers in my two boys into high school. And they're good boys, but they can make some mistakes too. I don't deny that. But there's an element of protection, there's an element of safety, there's an element of accountability that has to be there. With all these positions, with my family moving back, it's really important for me to be here and be involved and listening. This is a wonderful county. I don't know what it is. I left when I was 12, and it never left me. It was a big thing to come back here. People have a lot of compassion in this county. We love our access to our wilderness. We love so many things about being here in Mineral County, and it was all I could do to get back here 30 years later. So with that, I thank everybody. I thank the candidates for participating. I thank the participants out in the audience. And on behalf of my family and other residents, thank you for being informed.